Teachers, save your breath. In my research study, I will be measuring and examining the effectiveness of implementing nonverbal cues in a classroom setting during transition times. Now, I know some of you may seen a traditional classroom management system of transitions maybe looking something like this, leaving teachers feeling like this. However, not all transitions have to look this way. Instead, maybe some transitions could look like this, leaving teachers and students feeling like this. In my literature review, I focused on two key main ideas. The first main idea that I focused on was the importance of effective transitions. In one article that I examined, it talked about areas of concern that teachers had for some of their students during transition times and how to address these areas of concerns with implementing effective strategies for these students during transitional times. Additionally, another article focused specifically on students with special needs and their behaviors during transitions compared to students without special needs and their behaviors. And lastly, another article talked about implementing interventions for their class during transitional times and the effectiveness of these interventions based on data collected and overall students' responses to the interventions. The second main idea was the significance of nonverbal communication in the classroom. Some of the nonverbal cues that I examined through my literature review included the implementation of a color wheel system, as well as a group self-modeling video that was used during transitions. Additionally, another article talks about the importance of nonverbal communication in a classroom and how it can significantly enhance the overall learning environment. Going back to the color wheel system that was implemented, in the article Increasing On-Task Behavior in Every Student in a Second Grade Classroom During Transitions, Validating the Color Wheel System, it shows here the two techniques that were used, the TCM, Typical Classroom Management, and the color wheel system, the CWS, and the percentage of OT, percent of on-task behaviors that were displayed from the whole class. And as you can see during the color wheel system, the percentage of on-task behavior of students was much more higher than the typical classroom management system. So the purpose of my research study is to implement nonverbal cues during transitions in a classroom in order to eliminate wasted time, resulting in an increase of overall instructional time, leading to ultimately an overall improved classroom learning environment. So the two research questions that I have regarding my research study is number one, how do various nonverbal cues compared to traditional verbal cues affect the overall classroom environment of students during transition times? As well as what is the relationship between the data collected from the various transitional techniques to overall students' attitudes towards the transitional techniques. My research study will take place at Mount Lebanon Elementary School in Pendleton, South Carolina, in a third grade all subjects classroom. From the 2017-2018 school year, 506 students attended this school, with roughly about 20 students in each classroom. Out of the student population, 82% of students are Caucasian, along with 9% of students being African American. Out of the entire student population, 37% of students are from low-income families. My research study will take place over a period of 4 weeks. During the first week, baseline data will be collected using traditional verbal techniques during transition times. During the second week, I will implement the first nonverbal cue of using songs during transitions. During the third week, I will display a visual timer in the classroom for students to use while they're completing the transitional task. And in the fourth and final week, I will implement a stoplight system. Before each new technique is introduced at the beginning of each week, instructions will be given to students on how to follow the transitional task as well as the expectations that come along with it. In order to collect data, I will use the same data collection process for each week. To collect my quantitative data, I will use data tables in order to record and calculate the average amount of times it takes students to complete transitions for each technique. I will also keep an observational notebook in order to collect qualitative data based on students displaying on-task behaviors. And lastly, at the end of the 4-week process, I will have students take a brief student survey in order to gauge their overall attitude and feelings towards the research study regarding maybe some techniques that they found were helpful, that they liked, that they didn't like, and so on. Thank you so much for checking out my research study. I can't wait to tell y'all more about it when I complete it.